A key study on maternal mortality rate, often used to promote abortion, has now been shown to be highly flawed and containing major errors. A new study published in the journal Obstetrics and Gynecology challenges the methodology and findings of a commonly referenced 2016 Maryland Population Research Center study. It's known as the McDormand study. The McDormand study claimed to show stable rates of pregnancy-related deaths in Texas between 2000 and 2010, followed by a substantial increase from 2010 to 2012. Many in the media, along with Planned Parenthood and other abortion groups, jumped on this study as proof that pro-life legislation kills women. The McDormand study has been cited more than 300 times in news sources, approximately 70 scholarly research articles, and frequently used by pro-abortion politicians. Here's Democratic National Committee's Deputy Chair, Representative Keith Ellison, citing maternal mortality in order to promote pro-abortion policies earlier this month.
Maternal mortality has risen. Women are dying because we are losing elections.
But new research by the Charlotte Lozier Institute analyzed the same data in the commonly cited study and found a proportionally larger increase in maternal mortality occurred between 2004 and 2006, and the McDormand study compared Texas trends unfavorably to California, where late maternal mortality was significantly higher in California than in Texas and the nation during the study period. We are going to speak with the co-author of this new report right here in our studio in just a bit, but right now we get pro-life reactions straight from the Lone Star State. Lauren Enriquez joins us from Houston, Texas, home of the largest Planned Parenthood in the Western Hemisphere. She is the Public Relations Manager for Human Coalition, an organization committed to rescuing families from abortion. Lauren, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
You are based in Texas, the state at the center of the maternal mortality rate discussion in our nation. From your perspective, what's going on there?
Well, that really is the question. I mean, it would be nice to be able to get some real answers on this question rather than this obfuscation that we're getting from the abortion industry. The abortion industry's presence in our state, it really is antithetical to any discussion or effort for making our state safer for women and children. As you said, I live in Houston. We have the largest Planned Parenthood, the largest abortion facility in the Western Hemisphere, and it's mind-boggling to think that Planned Parenthood and its political allies have any credibility to speak on this issue when they're literally opposed to efforts that we as pro-lifers are trying to implement to make women safer.
Why do you think abortion groups are frequently talking about pregnant women dying? What kind of message are they trying to send with that?
You know, I think they're trying to send two messages. First of all, I think they're trying to deflect attention away from their conversation about abortion that we need to be having. I think they'll leech themselves onto any story that comes into the media that they can skew to make the pro-life movement look bad, and I think that's their second objective. I think they're trying to vilify the pro-life movement because organizations like Human Coalition and other pro-life organizations, we are stealing their clientele, and it's only a matter of time before we reach a critical mass level where the abortion industry goes out of business because of these pro-life efforts. So anything that they can do to really cause public opinion to turn away from the pro-life movement, we know it's been moving in our direction for so long. Anything they can do to undercut that, I think they will do, and that includes skewing statistics and spinning stories in directions that just do not align with truth.
Lauren Enriquez, PR Manager for Human Coalition, joining us from Houston, Texas. Thank you for your time, Lauren.
Thank you, Catherine.
Our next guest is the co-author of a new report that finds flaws in the commonly cited pro-abortion McDormand study on maternal mortality rate. Dr. James Studnicki is the Vice President and Director of Data Analytics at the Charlotte Lozier Institute. Dr. Studnicki, it's so good to welcome you here.
Thank you so much.
Now, you looked into this earlier report we were talking about on maternal mortality, and there are news outlets saying there was faulty data there, but you're saying there's even more than that. What did you find?
Well, a major finding of that study, the finding of interest, has to do with the state of Texas, and the investigators found, or claim they found, a very stable period of maternal mortality from 2000 to 2010, and then a doubling, what they referred to as a doubling in a 2-year period from 2010 to 2012. That doubling is important because Planned Parenthood organizations at that time were being defunded, and so the popular media put together the narrative that because there was a defunding of Planned Parenthood agencies, there was an increase in maternal mortality. We found the study lacking in 2 ways. First, the source data, CDC maternal mortality reports, is woefully inadequate, and we're not the only team that has indicated that. That's been known for some time. That data is flawed for a lot of reasons. But the methodology was also flawed, and our work in particular looked at the methodology used by the investigators, and we concluded that the great increase that they saw from 2010 to 2012 was really artifactual. In other words, it was the methodology that actually masked a greater increase in the years 2004 to 2006. And then in addition to that, there were some problems that was a combination of both methodology and bad data, where they looked at the state of California and they sort of cherry-picked the data so that they made California look really good and they made the state of Texas look really bad. So we pointed out all of those flaws.
So to be very clear, Dr. Studnicki, implementing pro-life policies like defunding Planned Parenthood did not lead to an increase in maternal mortality rate.
There's no science, there's no study that associates in any way opening and closing of Planned Parenthood clinics with maternal mortality. In fact, if you look at the profile of services that are rendered by Planned Parenthood, there is hardly any of their services that would have an impact on maternal mortality. They do, in addition to that, they don't do any post-natal care, so they're not particularly interested in women who carry their babies to term and have healthy children. Yeah.
So how do we finally counter all of this misinformation that's out there?
The best way is to see to it that the methods of measurement are appropriate. You cannot improve maternal mortality if you don't know how to measure it. The current method of measuring maternal mortality is limited largely to women who are pregnant and then and have a live birth. But not all pregnancies end in a live birth. A significant number of pregnancies end in either spontaneous abortion, a miscarriage, or an induced abortion. This is particularly important for the African American population in the United States because there are less than half of all African American pregnancies end up in a live birth. So there's a very high number of abortions in that population. And so if you miss those pregnancies and you're interested in improving maternal mortality, then there's a real possibility for misinterpretation of the data that you do find.
Well, Dr. James Studnicki of the Charlotte Lozier Institute, thank you so much for all your research into this. We so appreciate it.
Thank you so very much for having me.